Yeah, it's a very interesting piece unpacking the whole amount of cost that goes into the data, because certainly the one thing that intrigues me is that the data that we paid, as far as I can see, essentially the same price for 20 years ago as traders, and the data we get today, well, we're getting about 25 times as much data, and we also get a huge amount more subsets of data, and we get an incredible amount more accuracy of data, because it was just a human inclination, what you could actually type up when you were in a gallery on a floor compared to what somebody was shouting in your ear, compared to what can be done nowadays in a low latency market, makes a big difference. I don't understand. I'm with you here because I genuinely am mystified at this whole idea of the fact that all data is a total utility and therefore must be treated like 1960s British electricity, or indeed possibly 2020s Maltese electricity, because we see where that gets us.
That's right. And we've celebrated fintech as kind of an investment, the industry investment in efficiency. But fintech kind of boils down to your ability to consume, process, and action data, liquidity insights. And so it kind of boils down to data itself. And there's certainly an unwelcome source of cost, and it's not fintech, it's the data sources. And those being structured well and granular and broad and all the things that we want in data sources doesn't seem to be as appreciated as the sources of tools that allow you to consume and use and form unique insights. And maybe that's by design, because if it were easier for a broader constituent, then you wouldn't have those unique insights, that competitive advantage. So maybe that's part of it. But I think there's just a lack of appreciation for what data means to our ecosystem, what it means in terms of efficiency, managing liquidity risk, creating safe grounds for investors, accountability for investors, which translates into confidence, transparency, issuer visibility. And that's just in the equity space. We're not talking about the evolution still in the FIC markets, which I think are still in their infancy in terms of data commercialization, data being part of the fabric of the way the capital markets work.
I love that. The FIC markets are in their infancy in relation to data commercialization. There was me, I would have said they were in their dark ages. You're a much more diplomatic individual than I am, Mark. Obviously, it comes from the way that you can manage to work your way through with DataBP, as effectively, as you are doing very eloquently today, defending the data economy. How do you feel about the overall concept, both of the American consolidated tape for equities and how that works, and the possibilities ultimately in Europe?
I'm encouraged by both initiatives. I'm discouraged by the lack of policy-making capability to support these transitions and to support the evolution. I don't think that policy-making in either European jurisdictions or the US jurisdictions is capable of supporting the needs of our market structure today. They've just become too complex. And so everything is soundbite driven. And I think that's been part of the reason why we haven't seen much in the way of progress. We're still waiting to see what happens with the US proposals in terms of their reforms and evolution. I think some of those hold promise. Some of those I'm still slightly less optimistic about. And here in Europe, it's just been a long journey, road to nowhere, and largely due to the fact that the data cost holy war is boiling in the background and has really been taking a lot of the oxygen out of the room and precluded us from making real strides into enabling transparency in a fragmented market, enabling all those things I mentioned earlier, investor accountability, liquidity risk management. And I think what both systems become is the basis for a more sustainable market structure, one that recognizes the participation in lit market trading and contributions to price discovery in a way that could even provide commercial incentives for that participation. And without those incentives, I don't understand how sustainable participation in the lit market is. With the risks involved, with the costs involved, it's cheaper, easier, less risky to not trade lit. And I think that's a problem for the quality of the prices formed on these markets. So sustainability, I think, requires some degree of data being part of this ecosystem and supporting the market structure properly.